This is another Stories from the Trail video that I'm going to do. And today I rode Santos, which is in Ocala, Florida. It's only about 45 minutes from my house. I really don't get down there as much as I should. Santos, if you're not familiar with it, is a phenomenal place to ride. They've got stuff for everybody. There's technical, kind of real short, steep, up and down stuff over Lime Rock. It does get pretty technical. There's just fast, long, flowy trails. There's probably 70 miles of trail there. If you're familiar with Ray's Indoor Mountain Bike Parks, he actually either has a home down there or lives down there now, but he's starting to develop a lot of cool features there. There's pump tracks. There are some wooden features that are pretty nice, like a corkscrew. There's a dirt jump track with some really big dirt jumps, a big drop before it, so you get lots of speed. It's not something I do. There's a lot of skinnies and things like that to ride. So it's a really cool place to ride. If any of you guys ever get down to Florida, it's definitely worth going to. My story today is I had a pretty good crash. You know, I haven't crashed in a while that hard, and today was a good one. I was riding with someone, following someone's wheel. We were going along at a pretty good clip. I'd say we were going race pace, cross-country race pace. And there was a rock in the middle of the trail. I was probably a little bit too close to the guy in front of me, and didn't see the rock, and pedal hit the rock, and I was on my face before I even knew what happened. And honestly, I don't think I face planted ever on a mountain bike before, and that was a good one. Fortunately, my face landed in some soft dirt. If it would have been a root or a rock, no telling what would have happened. My helmet really saved me, because I landed right on my forehead, and I could feel where the helmet pressed into my head, but didn't feel dizzy or anything like that. So I knew it wasn't a concussion. It wasn't until I got back to the car and started driving home. I did continue the ride for a couple hours, driving home, I looked in the mirror and saw that my head was bruised. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but I have bruises on both sides of my head. It doesn't really hurt in my eye. It's just where the helmet pressed into my head. So I'm sure about 99.9% of you guys that ride wear your helmet. For the very small percentage that may not, you need to, because today was the difference of continuing my ride or waking up in a hospital. Also, for just a little lesson here, but every once in a while you'll see people riding with their helmet kind of up like this, which if that would have been me today, I would have probably had a pretty serious concussion, because you need to ride with your helmet down, and I landed right on the front of the helmet, right on the forehead. So little lesson there for you guys out there: never ride with your helmet back on your head like that. One, it looks dorky. The other reason is there's a reason why the helmet's supposed to come down over your forehead. So another little lesson that I kind of learned was not to ride too close to the guy in front of you. In mountain biking, even at a race pace, drafting is really not much of an issue. Don't ride too close, because you gotta be able to see any obstacles that are coming out in front of you, especially if the guy's not calling it out. So anytime you get a hard crash, it kind of demoralizes you for a little bit. But what you got to realize as a mountain biker is crashing is just part of the sport. Fortunately, the better your skills get, the less you crash. But you just got to shake it off. All of us watching this video are going to crash at one point. What's nice about mountain biking compared to road is typically, even though the crashes are more frequent than a road crash, they're a lot less severe most of the time, and you can usually just get right back on your bike and keep going. Going over the bars is probably the worst kind of crashing. It's been a long time since I've gone over the bars. Fortunately, no problems with collarbone or anything like that. Now I did jam my finger really good. I don't know what happened. I probably hyperextended it when I landed. Bent it backwards. The joint is just swollen and sore, and it's really hard to move. But other than that, you know, as hard as I went down, it was probably a good crash in the sense of I came away fairly unscathed, again, for as hard as I crashed. As mountain bikers, we have several goals most of the time, whether it's standing on a podium or riding a certain distance or just accomplishing a certain section of trail. But I think most of us would probably admit that deep down inside, the number one goal is to not crash, because damaging bike and body is not a good way to ride. You know, again, reflecting on something like this, when it happens, you ask yourself, how can I avoid it? And like I said before, not following too close, just keeping your eyes really good on the trail, being attentive to what's going on. But I thought about another thing is, a lot of my videos are reviews and comparing bikes, and I did one cross country versus trail bikes. And one nice thing about today's modern trail bikes is that the geometry is really dialed in slack. And what that does is it makes for a more forgiving bike. So if you're watching this video and you're kind of new to the sport, bikes like 29ers or trail bikes, whether they be 26, 27.5 or 29, are generally more forgiving than like I was riding my Anthem 27.5. The Anthem is a really fast race bike, but it is twitchy and it's less forgiving. And I hit the pedal so hard on that rock today, I don't know if I would have stayed up on any bike. But on my trail bike, there have been a lot of situations where the geometry being slack really helped me save a crash. Most of them wouldn't have been too bad. But especially over technical stuff, the trail bikes with the slack geometry really handle that stuff well. You're going to have less endos, and I've heard a lot of guys out there say that when they've gotten on 29ers, they've had less crashes because they're more stable. So, like I said, not crashing is a goal that I think all of us have. And some of the ways that you can do that is to make sure you're on the right bike. Now, the ironic thing today is I was on just a flat, tame trail. I mean, it was just a rock right in the middle of the trail. So, not a way to avoid it unless I saw it in advance, which I didn't. So, anyway, that's my quick stories from the trail video for this one. Thanks for watching, and tune into my channel for some other videos like this, and of course for my reviews and things like that. Thanks for watching.